holiday special.
Derek,
Yes?
do you still have the number for the flies? The frog flies. I need them, Derek. I've got a nasty fly problem.
I'm going to take a quick second to explain what's going on here.
I've got a nasty fly.
We're going to have a sidebar. You
There's
keep
a fly
going.
in here.
So,
He's
listeners,
gonna get me.
Isaac has spent the
He's
last
coming after
15
me.
minutes trying to kill a fly that has been in this room.
He's gonna get it.
And it is very fun.
Out with it.
He's-
I'll get it.
He's turned into some weird cowboy.
Derek, off. It's me, Crass Genty. That's me.
Hello, it's me, the fly.
He's a fly. Yeah.
Oh, it's me.
Yeah.
Oh, you're never gonna get me.
I'll get you,
I'm gonna
Crass
zoom
Genty. I'll
away.
get you, fly.
Ooh.
You'll never live another
Buzz,
day in this
buzz.
world.
Buzz, buzz.
Derek, I need you, and you're the expert
Well-
on frogs, I
Well,
hear.
listen, I don't know. There was another voice there. In the
You and
microphone.
that
Did you hear
other guy that you
Oh my
know
God,
of.
look, there's
there
a-
he is. There's the fly.
Oh, this is
There's the
me.
fly.
This is Buzz Buzz.
It's real.
Oh, Buzz Buzz.
The
There
pit
is-
is dead. It's real. It's alive.
There is actually a fly buzzing around
I hate him.
everybody. You know, the funniest thing about... Oh, look at that. He's right above the door. Isaac's going to go get him. And he's gonna... You know, it would make great content for me to just turn this off, pause it, let everyone sit and wallow.
Oh, you're never gonna get to me.
He got away.
You're never gonna get to me.
Yeah, no,
Look at
I
him go.
didn't.
Look at this fly
I
go.
lost. Hey, I
Oh,
see
there he
you.
is. He's right above me. He's right above me.
Oh, me. Isaac, you're never gonna get me.
Run this way.
Crass
Fly.
Genty's never gonna get
Mr.
me.
Fly.
This is wild. This is the craziest thing that's ever happened in my life.
I'm gonna get him. Tell him about the movie.
Okay, he's leaving the room now. Happy freaking Independence Day, everybody. For today's Independence
How
Day,
can we be independent in a world with this many flies?
I don't know how well that's picking up, but it's pretty funny to me, and that's what matters. We've been known to do holiday specials here on That Was Horrorble. And
Hey, Derek, what's up?
Hi, Isaac.
There's a weird guy that just ran out of the room yelling something about flies.
Yeah, and his name was Crass Janty.
Sorry, what? What's his name?
Crass Janty.
That's not a real human's name.
That's the name that he gave me and the name the Lord gave him as well.
Yeah, it must be his God-given Christian name. Hello, everyone. Happy Independence Day.
What a shock.
Yeah, so...
What a way to wake up.
Yeah, well, welcome to the podcast.
If anyone's listening to this at 2 a.m., which is the time I publish the episodes for some reason,
Someone
I
said
hope-
they have an alarm set. They're like, oh boy, 2
Oh, it's
a.m.
2 a.m. I hope Crass Janty's on the episode
Oh,
today.
my God. So yeah,
Wait, I have a
surprise.
real question. I have a real. Did
I
the
have a
fly
real-
leave the room?
I have no idea.
You have spent almost 20 minutes.
There was so long before the episode where I was trying to catch this fly, and Derek graciously granted me some time, but
I just sat there
still
looking at
didn't
my
get it.
phone for like the entire
And there's
time.
a high chance I will leave the the recording to get it again if I see it.
And if that happens, I may just pause it.
And that's
But
fine.
also, if Crass Janty comes back, it might be a joy.
We'll just add some fun little like music underneath it. Yeah, exactly.
The yakety sax.
Yeah,
Yakety
exactly.
sax.
But yeah, so surprise,
Wait,
we've got a
wait.
bit of a double feature
Wait.
for you today.
Wait, let's not jump into that yet.
Oh, okay.
Real talk.
Real talk.
Crass Janty?
Crast, don't look at me, man.
It came out of your mouth.
That's the power of improv, baby. Names just come out sometimes. And I didn't want to give him something I'd given anybody else before.
I'm just trying to figure out where that came from. Like
No idea.
sea shanty.
The spirit of Crass Janty took over my mortal vessel.
I mean, I watched that happen and it was shocking. But
Yeah.
like Crass Janty? I don't know, man. That was weird.
Don't ask me.
I loved him though. I hope he
I have
comes
no idea where it came from.
back. When
If there are any other fly-related problems. But also, I felt like it segued pretty well into the movie that we watched today. For
yeah,
the
because
4th
we
of
did
July.
watch The Fly.
We watched Frogs is the movie that we watched. And frogs are notorious for eating flies.
Oh, see, I thought they were
Yeah.
notorious for eating people because in the movie I watched, Frogs,
Uh-huh.
1972, they ate people.
Well, only
kind of.
only on the poster does it really seem like they eat people, because I didn't see a single moment in this movie where a frog ate a person.
I saw a whole lot of sitting.
yeah,
I-
a
that's
whole
all-
lot of
that's-
chill sitting frogs.
That's all I saw.
yeah,
honestly.
and that's all that was shown to us, I think.
And why did we pick this movie, Isaac? Let's just backtrack a little bit.
We picked this movie, so yes, like I said before, surprise, we got a bit of a double feature going on today. We'll be releasing 2 episodes on one day just because, literally only because 4th of July happens to fall on Tuesday when we tend to publish our episodes, right? And this episode, Derek brought to my attention that the movie Frogs from 1972 happens to take place on the 4th of July, so we figured it'd be a perfect horrible movie to watch on this day. So, oh no, you can't. You just started. You can't have another one. I don't even know what you're about to do to me.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. During this double feature, we have to have 2 game shows. If you saw the last episode, you know that we had a game show in that episode. So we have another one.
Recurring thing.
Only today.
I feel like I'm caught in like a nightmare of my own creation.
Today, Isaac, you're up for a grand prize of 1 dead fly.
Okay.
Dead
yes,
fly.
please.
It may
Call
not be the
Gianti back in here.
It's I can't even with the stupid name. It may not be the fly you've been trying to kill, but it is a dead fly.
I'll take it.
All right.
It'll give me peace of mind so I can sleep at night.
The game today is it a crocodile or is it a frog?
Okay.
We're going to be giving you 1 fact. You have to guess, is it a frog or is it a crocodile?
Oh, man. Okay.
All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
The biggest one alive was 1,075 kilograms or 2,370 pounds.
Okay, that's gotta be the gator, right? The crocodile.
Bing, 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 bing,
Yeah.
bing, bing.
If there was a frog that big, I'd be concerned.
Each species of this specific animal has a unique call. It makes specific sounds.
I'm gonna say that's frogs.
That is a frog. That is a
bing,
frog.
bing,
Bing, bing, bing, bing, bing, bing, bing. The life cycle of this animal consists of 3 stages. I guess I should say reptile, but they're all animals, right?
Yeah.
Everyone's an animal in God's
Wait, so hold
eyes.
on. So is it not just like crocodiles and frogs now?
No, it's all... I'm just trying to keep it,
Some good throat clears.
We're gonna just start over on this question. You're 2 for 2, 2 for 0. Wait,
Two for two.
2 for 2,
2 for 2.
2 for 2.
We know sports.
We know sports. The life cycle of this one is 3 stages: egg, larva, adult.
That's well. No, is that frog as well? He's making a face that leads me to believe maybe it isn't frogs.
No, it is frog.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know if crocodiles also do that.
I mean, I know for a fact I think they skip like a larva phase though, because they don't have like a tadpole phase. I think they just come out of the egg, just like right out.
Look at Mr. Smarty Pants.
Yeah, that's right. Me and Science
Look
Jim have been hanging out, and we're kind of getting along with each
why
other.
does Science Jim lead this game?
I don't know.
I don't really want him
You've
to.
created this new game show host person, but it could be Science Jim.
Science Jim is... all I see is a weird science equipment and like a book and a manual that's about like transforming into something else.
Can you define what a weird science equipment is?
Have you ever seen the movie The Fly?
Oh, yeah. You're right. That's
the
a weird
bit
science
is that
equipment.
this fly that's been buzzing around is Science Jim. He turned himself into a fly.
I'll kill him. I don't care, Jim. Listen, you and me are good pals. We've had our differences, but if you're a fly, I'm gonna get you.
All right, one more question. This animal is a carnivore.
That's a gator.
There's both of them.
That's both
of them. Bing,
Both
bing,
of
bing,
them.
bing, 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 bong, bong, bong.
Frog gonna eat me?
All right, that game wasn't as fun
Frog
as Nicolas
gonna
Cage
eat
versus
me?
Keanu Reeves. Hopefully they watch them in this order.
Yeah.
And if not, they're going to listen to the Keanu Reeves Nicolas Cage one and be like, whoa.
What?
That was crazy. That makes so much sense now. I understand.
So we've got to get into this episode or we'll be talking all night. So I
don't know if we will because this movie was really short.
Yeah, it was like an hour and a half long. So Derek, you want to tell us what you found out about Frogs 1972?
I didn't actually sleep. Yeah, so we watched Frogs 1972. And the reason, I guess we should explain why we watched this movie, is because it takes place on Independence Day.
Yes.
I did a research. I was like, what are some bad horror movies that took place on Independence Day, July 4th here in the United States of America? And Frogs was one of them. Mm-hmm. And it's rated pretty poorly. I'll tell you how poorly. Rotten Tomatoes is sitting at a 29%. Audience score is at 24. Letterboxd is at 2.4. Metacritic is 51. IMDb is 4.4. So not great.
No.
Not great.
Not incredible.
But Metacritic sitting at 51, that's pretty high. And also IMDb, well, I guess 4.4 is like fine. But Letterboxd at 2.4. I have some grievances.
Yeah, like we'll get to it when we read the reviews, but I was actually surprised at how many like positive reviews there could be. Even though it's rated at like 29%, like there were a couple that are kind of into the movie.
Yeah,
not saying it's fantastic, but not that it's a bad one.
Yeah, I feel like I watched a different movie than some of these people. But
honestly.
Anyway, so it was directed by George McOwen and written by Robert Hutchinson and Robert Blees, which are just some names. George McOwen, he is not like a super known director.
I've never heard of him.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've never heard of him either. He did direct an episode of The Littlest Hobo, which I didn't know was a TV show.
What?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's just a TV show from Oh, it's a dog. The dog's name is Hobo.
The dog is Hobo.
Ooh, that was almost really
this
weird.
Tracks. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm with it now.
Oh man, someone out there loves that show. It's their favorite show in the world. And I mean, understandably, it's a dog. He also directed, I mean, pretty much just like a bunch of random stuff. Nothing to write home about, guys.
Really, nothing quite like Frogs.
Nothing like Frogs, you
Killer
know?
masterpiece Frogs.
I mean, it is what it is. The Avoriaz Fantastic Film Festival gave this movie...
What? One more time?
I didn't want to have to say it twice. The Avoriaz Fantastic Film Festival. I'm Googling it right now.
Yeah, that's a mouthful.
Avoriaz International Fantastic Film Festival is a film festival held in the French resort Avoriaz between 1973 and 1993.
Okay, so it's gone and dead now.
Yeah, it's gone and dead now. So it gave this movie the grand prize in 1973.
That's all it says?
Grand prize.
It doesn't say like for what, it just says the grand prize.
Grand prize. I'm trying to make a like soundbite.
It's like going on a game show and it's just like you win the big cash money wad. And it's like, okay, how much money is that? They're like, you win the big cash money wad.
Grand prize. It seemed like every year it was a Grand Prix of like basically Best Picture. Right, so
and
like
this won.
Yeah, and
was it a nominee or a winner?
Now hold on, it says winner, but
that just can't be, Derek.
I'm saying it was a nominee.
Okay,
because what did win that year was Duel by Steven Spielberg, which is a fantastic film.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely sounds more accurate.
But also you've got things like Phantom of the Paradise. It won in 1975.
Fantastic
it actually won.
Movie.
It won, and Roman Polanski was the one who like awarded it.
That's fine. Yeah, everyone go watch Phantom of the Paradise.
Oh yes, definitely go watch Phantom of the Paradise. Mm-hmm. Fantastic film, Isaac showed
Music by Paul Williams, so you can't go wrong.
I love Paul Williams.
And just a very unique, interesting design for a character in it. Like, it's so cool.
Well, now that we've pitched that movie,
but
we've been
not here to talk about that one.
Trying to find a way to fit that in. I felt it on the tip of your tongue every episode.
Every episode, I'm like, just let me talk about Phantom of the Paradise.
God, it's so hard not to. All right, so that was George McOwen, and then Robert Hutchinson and Robert Hutchinson. And Robert Blees. It was confusing me. They both have the same name.
Tell me more about him, Blees.
So again, same situation. Like they've done a bunch of stuff, but nothing I've even heard of. And I think it's because this is a fairly old movie, right? 1972. So like most of the stuff is just kind of dead and gone to the world, which really makes me sad.
Yeah.
Like these people put so much work into so many things that are just not being watched or talked about at all. So that's that. This movie, I could not find a budget.
Really?
I searched everywhere. I feel like a lot of these old movies, the budget gets lost. And that's partially because like, one, they shouldn't have had a budget at all. This movie shouldn't have been made. But also like, inflation and all that stuff. But I did find that transfer to today's money, it grossed about 1.6 million.
Wow.
Which is just so unfortunate. Like that many people went and saw this movie. So yeah, that's that. Let's read some Rotten Tomatoes reviews, shall we?
Let's get into some reviews. Should we skip over like the positive ones?
I mean,
or keep them.
Let's read a couple positive ones. We might as well.
Okay. Yeah, so first one here from Matt Brunson of Creative Loafing says, an imaginative premise, a solid cast with Sam Elliott, Joan Van Ark, Adam Rourke, and a few surprisingly fresh characterizations lift this out of the mire. That's a positive one.
Reading that review makes me feel like I'm reading reviews for a different movie.
Really, though.
Dustin Putman of thebluefile.com says, if Frogs isn't perfectly logical, it is unnerving, providing apt foreshadowing to its ecological don't mess with nature themes without having to turn the proceedings into a preachy message movie, not a massage movie.
Again, feels like a different movie than
Feels
the
like
one
a
we watched
completely
personally.
different movie.
Here's
Yeah.
a negative one from Tim Brayton of Antagony and Ecstasy. The kind of flat-footed incompetence that can turn a sane person into a dedicated bad movie watcher for the rest of their days. That sounds like that might be us, actually.
Yeah, I think so.
That's literally like the whole premise of our podcast.
Right? And then Scott Weinberg of Apollo Guide says, I wonder why it's called Frogs.
That's the whole review.
The whole review.
Jeez. Shall we discuss our expectations?
Let's freaking expect
That's all you got?
Asian.
Oh my god. Can't do this with you.
You usually hold that one.
Yeah.
out. I had to do it.
I
at
just
least
figured
once.
our audiences hated it, so I stopped
You
holding
did
it quite
stop.
as
I
long.
noticed. I was honestly surprised. Kind of missed it.
Hey, that's
Sometimes you need silence in your day to.
So, fun fact about me and this movie. So, a little while ago, I have a boss where I work who is also into horror movies like me, right? So, sometimes we'll discuss that. And his wife was making him throw away just like tons and tons of old DVDs of like garbage, like bottom of the barrel, not worth watching horror movies that he had on DVD. Just like literal like boxes full of them. And he was like, I'll sell all of these to you for like $50 just because I know you like horror and I don't want to like just throw these away, you know? And I was like, I guess so. I mostly did it to help him out. And I was also just very curious what he had in there. They're garbage. There's a lot of garbage in there.
I really need to see this bucket.
I appreciate all the movies and stuff. Now they take up a lot of space and I don't know exactly what to do with them. But one that did catch my eye was Frogs. So I actually happened to own this one on DVD.
It's incredible.
I have a physical copy of the movie Frogs from 1972.
And yet we didn't watch the DVD.
Yeah, no, because it's
So much easier
somewhere,
to just use streaming services.
somewhere away. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so I'd actually watched this movie before because out of that, the pile of muck that I had, it was like one of the ones I'm like, maybe this one will be funny enough to watch. So I remember a little bit. I remember being very bored. So my very first expectation is, if I remember anything right, this movie is boring as hell. My second expectation is the frogs won't ever actually do anything threatening. There will just be a lot of them at once. Then the other creatures of the swamp will be more of a threat. So kind of along the same lines. I feel like the frogs are not there because I remember there were a lot of other reptilian creatures besides the frogs. It was not just them. But I guess, frogs and crocodiles and lizards was like a kind of a long title for that. Exactly. And then the plot will make no sense and the writing will be terrible. And finally, probably very little to do with the 4th of July. What about you? What were your expectations?
So I knew nothing. The only thing I knew was the 4th of July. I didn't even know this movie existed. I actually got super excited because I saw it, and the poster is awesome.
The poster is quite misleading.
The poster is fantastic. It's like the big frog with his hand sticking out of its mouth. It's so great.
Which leads you to believe it's going to be like a big frog, right? Because that human hand in its mouth looks small. So
I was ready. I thought it would be like a piranha situation, something like that. Anyway, we watched the trailer, and I was immediately shown how wrong I was. Just from the trailer. So from that, terrible acting. I mean, you could feel it in the air.
Yeah.
Really lame kills with people flaying around, but nothing actually happening. I feel like that happened a lot in these old 70s movies where the director would be like, okay, act like you're being chomped on by something. And then they just flail around.
They just don't have it in the budget or the means to kind of make it look more realistic. So they're like, you're really going to have to do the legwork here.
And they did
they did some kind of legwork.
A plot that is so outlandish it could only come from the 70s. So many people gonna croak. There, you get it?
Boo.
Do you get it? It's croaking.
Boo.
And then my final expectation is boring.
Boring, period.
Yeah. But Sam Elliott's here.
Yeah.
And he's cool.
Yeah, so
but he's so young.
You ready to dive into the swampy waters?
We did another water movie.
Uh-huh.
How many water movies is this now? Like, I mean, 6?
Listen, water is scary, okay? The ocean is spooky.
There's nothing more scary than the inner feelings of man. Is that
or capitalism?
Well,
So diving into this,
they go hand
mentioning
in hand.
Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott is here, who, like, if any of you know the actor, is pretty known for like his big bushy mustache that he has.
That's like his thing.
That's what I think about every time I think about Sam Elliott. He does not have one in this one.
No.
Opening shots. You get him on a boat, like on a little canoe. Also, there's no like title sequence things for this one. It just jumps straight into the action, right?
It's immediately on the bayou.
Yeah, and it's funny. The movie was going for like 6 seconds before Derek was like having a laughing fit over. I think it was just because like what would happen was he would point his camera at something, he would take a picture, and then it would freeze on that when he would snap the picture, and then show like opening credits over that.
I actually kind of liked the idea here, though, because it was like we were seeing what he was taking pictures of.
Yeah, executed poorly, but
yeah, it was so bad.
The idea was there. And then, so yeah, a couple pictures of frogs. I'm like, nothing is scary about frogs, and specifically about these frogs. They're just normal-ass frogs. There's nothing weird about them. But yeah, so he's taking just a bunch of pictures of different reptiles in nature, all manners of them, you know, snakes in the water, and the frogs chilling on the side, and some crocodiles, I think. And then just a lot of trash. Just a bunch of trash that's been spilled into the lake for some reason. I'm like, I feel like this is going to become like a commentary on like human pollution and that kind of stuff, right?
It felt like a movie that was made like today.
Yeah.
In that regard, where it was so in your face.
Mm-hmm. But it was just like the longest opening credits sequence. It was so unnecessarily long. But there were some shots of like big tubes pouring out into the lake, and I was like, oh, they're putting chemicals in the water, turning the freaking frogs gay.
What?
Like the Alex Jones.
Are you
bit.
Alex Jones?
No, I'm not. Alex Jones has no part in our podcast. He's not welcome.
No, he
here.
is not.
No, absolutely not. But so he's riding on his canoe, and he's taking a bunch of pictures of just the wildlife there, and then some dude on his speedboat rams into his boat, pretty much knocks him over. So he topples over, so he loses his camera down into the water.
Freaking idiot!
And they like help him back up into the water. It's funny though. Sam Elliott throws him into the lake as like, you know, fuck you for dumping me out. But then so he basically is like, oh, we're sorry, man. We'll make it up to you. Why don't you come over to like this little private island that we're all chilling at for like a family reunion or something like that, right?
So weird.
So like we're like, no, we mean it. Like we'll make it up to you. Come join us for lunch, right? And they're like really adamant about him joining them.
Well, because how else are they going to get him there?
Yeah, it's just like they couldn't think of a better reason to get him to this island for Yeah,
they could have had him related. Or something.
Because it felt like the vibe at first about them wanting to get him there felt like they were going to do something, right? Like there was some ulterior. No, not like that. Some ulterior motives. Although it is a guy named Clint and his sister Karen, I want to say, and Karen is definitely
sister and brother.
They were sister and brother.
Oh my goodness! None of the relationships made sense.
Definitely got the hots for our man Sam Elliott. Elliott here, right? You know, even without the mustache,
even without the mustache, and even with his shirt on.
Yeah,
I mean, woof.
But it's so funny that every single, and I'll mention this so many times because I wrote so many notes about this, every single scene transition between moments was just utilized by having shots of frogs on some grass.
Gosh, yeah.
And like how many frogs were in each shot, Derek?
Like maybe 10.
Like 10 frogs each time. Yeah. So it really made it seem like they bought like a box of frogs and then would just dump it out onto the lawn.
And they're like, oh, pull the camera out.
Yeah.
They're going to run away. Grab a camera.
So we find out Sam Elliott's name is Pickett Smith. He goes by Smith, and they're trying to get him to come to their family events.
His name... Like his dad's name was Smith, and the nurse walked in and was like, "You 5 minutes, you gotta pick it, Smith."
Crass Janty.
Oh my god.
Let it be known, never allow me to name my child in that fashion. If I were there,
Isaac, you got 10 seconds. You got to pick your child's name.
There's not enough time. Can I have more time?
No,
please?
you got to name your child right now. 3, 2, 1.
It's Crass Janty.
You already used that name.
Oh,
I really wanted something new. Can we do this bit again?
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Isaac, you have 10 seconds. You have to name your child.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's Donovan Mannin. Donovan Mannin? I don't know.
Man in clothes? Donovan Mannin clothes.
Donovan Mannin clothes. But see, that's perfect. It's like he can utilize it throughout everything in his life. And then it's Donovan Mannin class, Donovan Mannin chair.
Like when he robs a bank or something, it's that situation. It's like, what's your name, young man? He sees like a rose on top of a van, donning the van. Donovan.
That's a stretch, but okay.
And then he sees a man in clothes. You know,
Donovan Mannin.
Like it's that. You know what I mean?
Name's Donovan Mannin. Mannin what?
whatever you want it to be, baby.
Okay.
Man and you, man
So
and
he
me.
gets to the island and he meets a lot of the family members. So like the main guy, the guy who owns this little mansion on this island, his name is Jason. He's like Grandpa Jason, basically. And he's kind of upset with him because he's been watching with him with his binoculars. And he's basically like, I've watched you been taking pictures all over. Don't you know that's illegal? And Smith's like, no, I didn't know that was illegal. Can't you see the sign? It says it's private property. He's kind of got like a bit of a southern thing going on.
He really wanted to have
Yeah.
this kind of a southern drawl,
But
but
then
no one did.
the girl Karen, the sister of Clint, who like
Yeah.
kind of looks like she has a thing for Smith, is like just
by
demands he
Joan
meets
Van Ark.
demands he meets every single member of the family for some
yeah.
reason, right? So he meets Clint's wife, her name is Jenny, and she could not have checked him out any harder when she first met him. She gave him the whole like all the way
yeah.
down and up again. It was kind of
felt
wild.
it. I felt that glare down.
Yeah, and it was pretty obvious from there. I'm like, oh, okay, it seems like her and Jenny and Clint do not get along as this married couple. But it is later discovered they have like 2 kids with each other.
Yep.
And he's kind of just an ass that's living in the past about like how he was like popular in college football or
God.
some stupid shit like that.
Just stop.
Yeah, and really, it kind of seems that way. It's like Clint's wife only likes him because he was good at sports, and
Right.
all he does is live in the past.
So stupid.
These frogs are just living thus far. They're not doing anything wild.
They're just chilling.
Again, every single transitional shot is just some frogs.
Yeah.
Every single time.
And I made a note here that the dialogue is just swimming through the mud.
Yeah.
Because it is so hard to listen to. My goodness.
This movie, it somehow drags, but also goes by so far. And it's like, we were like how far did we get in it? We were like 20 minutes
It was
in. and
21
we were like,
minutes.
We were like, how has nothing happened at 20 minutes? I felt like nothing had even gone anything, you know?
I mean, yeah. I do have a note. All the lead up to the reptiles even doing anything was 21 minutes.
Yeah.
21 minutes of literally nothing.
Nothing.
Just bad conversation.
So yeah, so the gist of the beginning of this movie is Smith comes onto this island, meets everybody in the family, and then they're complaining about how like he's like old man Jason is like, you notice there were a couple frogs. He's like, yeah, I did. He's like, yeah, a couple more than usual, right? Mm-hmm. Think we should try to get rid of them. And so he's trying to get Smith to help him because he seems like some kind of like ecology expert to him. Mm-hmm. He's like, how can we get rid of these frogs? He's like, I want you to help me with this, right? And then he also pulls him aside and he's like, okay, hey, while you're checking out the island to figure out a way to get rid of these frogs, there's this guy named Grover who left at like 6 this morning. I think he might be missing a little bit. I think he ran away
He
with
might
like,
be missing just a little bit.
just a little bit. He's
Just a
like
little bit.
probably ran away with this girl from off the island. So like if you see him, tell him to come back home, right?
Right.
But again, the only thing these frogs are doing wrong is that they are like talking or they're croaking really loud. Is really the
Talking.
only issue.
They're just chatting.
They're chatting, right?
Hey, what's up?
Frogs are gonna
it's
chat.
Me. I'm a bullfrog.
Bro, it's me. I'm the frog.
You wanna go and croak next to this house later?
Yeah.
Rabbit,
Yeah.
rabbit.
Wait,
No.
give me your best like frog.
Was that not it?
No, like but not talking.
Oh,
Rabbit.
this is terrible.
No, this would be great.
Our
Great,
audiences hate us.
great content.
But yeah, the only thing they've done wrong is croak too loud, and some
Yeah.
of the people on the island are complaining about that, and that's the biggest issue that these people are doing
How
so
dare
far.
you croak so loud?
Yeah. So there, as Smith is checking out the island, he finds like evidence of poisons and pesticides
Yeah.
all over. I think it's probably in an effort to kill these frogs and stuff.
It must have been.
And there's a whole sequence where he's walking through the forest and seeing several dead frogs and snakes and just like all over the ground.
The way that they showed him being dead was just like upside down.
Yeah. It was
It
just
was
the frog
so
or snake
obvious.
flipped upside down.
They just took the animal, flipped it upside down for a second, took a picture of it, and which I prefer that to actually hurting the
Right,
animals.
yes.
Which is great that they didn't. Well, at least I hope they didn't do that.
I pray they did not.
I haven't seen anything that they did, and it doesn't seem
We're
like
going
they did.
to believe
So
and
I'm gonna-
convince ourselves that is the case.
Yes. Anyway.
Yeah.
So
He follows this trail of dead reptiles all the way to a jeep that was just like parked out in some brush, and then he finds a dead body upside, like face down and covered in just a bunch of snakes. Right. So he walks up to the body, and then what was funny is that body was definitely breathing.
Oh, yeah.
Not even trying to hide it. Full body heaves as
It
it's
looked
sitting
like
there
that
face
man
down.
had just run a marathon and then
he-
immediately laid down on the ground.
Honestly, no. It made it seem more like he was unconscious than actually dead.
Yeah.
And I was actually surprised to see that when he flipped over the body, he did actually have some makeup over
Yeah, it
his
was-
face.
was
Showing
decent
showing
makeup,
okay,
too.
so he died. I really didn't expect them to go as far as putting makeup on the
Nah,
people.
me neither.
Especially since there weren't. I don't understand what these creatures can do because he had like these like lesions on his face. These
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call them claw marks, just like bits of skin missing.
It kind of seemed like he walked off the set from a different movie that he'd just been like a dead corpse on like
Yeah.
CSI or something.
And they're like,
He's
hey, don't take that
whoa,
makeup
whoa, whoa,
off.
that's perfect. Come lay down in this bog.
Can you imagine? I can imagine that being a bit in some kind of sketch comedy where people are trying to make a movie with like absolutely no
my
budget,
goodness.
and they're
Wait, no
standing
one steal
outside
this.
the lot
Isaac, this is a great
for some
idea.
like zombie movie,
This is a
right?
great
And
idea.
they're just calling to them like, hey, you,
we
come over
want
here.
someone.
Come this
Yeah.
way. Hey, I got something for you. And he holds up like a candy bar. I'll give you this candy bar if you come be in my movie.
Oh, it's more than I just got paid. Then he comes in, it's like a boardroom scene. He's just sitting there falling asleep. Man, you're turning us into zombies over here.
Wah, wah. So at this point, it's like the man. It seems like he was poisoning the animals, and they retaliated. So I mean, that's kind of what makes sense to me. And it seems like that is kind of a common thread throughout all of it. Is all of these people that do die in this movie seem to kind of deserve it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or they just die of their own accord.
I mean,
We'll
it's kind
cover
of
all the
their
deaths
fault,
in this
yeah.
movie. They're all so stupid.
The
for
worst
the most
deaths
part.
I've seen in a movie in a while.
Even in Jason's words, though, he says, "We are the ugly rich," is what he says.
I mean, he was kind of proud of it too. He's
A
like,
little bit.
yeah, well, we are here on the southern bayou.
We are
ugly
the ugly rich. Nothing about this is a horror movie except the rich people in it.
I don't know, man. Every time I heard a croak, I was like, oh, scary. Guess you could say it made me jump. You get it? Because the frogs jump.
I'm leaving a pause here so you can put the sound of crickets in later.
Oh, do you want me to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do it.
So Smith goes back to the house and he's not telling everybody that he found a dead body, which is probably smart because he doesn't want to start chaos amongst all these people, right? So he goes back and he tells Jason exclusively, and Jason's like, "That was a good idea. You shouldn't have told anybody else." There's also a bit where the phone line has been dead this entire time. I think Smith tries it like 3 times in the movie, maybe 4, and then the line is just continuously dead. He cannot get a hold of anybody off the island, which again, like we've mentioned in past episodes, is just a good way, you know, it's a good way to keep people isolated, because I feel like good horror needs isolation.
Even back in the 1970s.
Absolutely. Yeah,
everything needed good isolation back
honestly,
then.
though, and it just makes more sense to me, honest. But then while they're having this conversation and like their little, Grandpa Jason's got like this trophy room with all these animal heads up on the wall and fish that are all, you know, like he's got a bunch of taxidermy covering the rooms and stuff. So while they're in his trophy room, there's like a servant lady working there, and she sees a snake hanging from a chandelier.
Oh, yeah.
But at first she doesn't notice it, right, Derek?
Dude, this snake was hanging there that entire scene, and I was mad about
And
it.
she's just calmly setting the table,
she
no
was
problems.
fine. And then it wasn't until she was off screen you hear her screaming about this stupid snake.
Also, right before she screams and notices the snake, there's a bit where you just hear like thumping on the windows.
Oh, yeah.
And you look down, and it shows a shot of the frog down on ground level, just like pawing at the door, like, "Let me in, please."
His food bowl still had
It
food
was so
in
funny.
it.
The frog wants in. He is pleading for it. But so yeah, then they all scream at the snake that's hanging from the chandelier.
understandably.
Then Grandpa
hated this
Jason
scene
just walks
so
straight
much.
in and just shoots it just straight
Pulls out
down
a
off the
revolver.
chandelier. No problemo.
My issue with this scene, though, so it showed the snake. It showed him holding the gun. It went away from him holding the gun. The gun went off. It went back to him with just the same gun. No evidence that it had been shot whatsoever. Then it shot back to the snake, curled up on the table. The butler walks in, picks the snake up
With just like a cloth
just
from
like
the table.
pulls out of a nap. It was
Yeah.
comedic.
Yeah.
He pulls the snake off and walks away, and then they sit down and eat at the
Which
table.
is wild, because wouldn't shooting a snake from the chandelier leave
Point
some
blank.
kind of mess?
It would be disgusting.
Yeah. But then he's just like, "All right, well, let's eat."
Well, let's eat.
Like, hell no, absolutely not.
Are you just used to that? Maybe things are like that in Florida. I've never lived in Florida.
But yeah, so we find out that it's very important to Grandpa Jason that all of them are here for this. Every year they do this. There are about like 4 birthdays for him that happen in July. So it's like him and 3 of the other kids that are there, right?
Yeah.
And then also 4th of July. So it seems like the 4th of July is actually a very, very small plot point of this movie. Seems like it's more about his birthday.
I'm happy that the 4th of July was a plot point because then I could talk about it today.
Absolutely.
I'm upset that 4th of July was a plot point because it didn't need to
It
be.
never came into play, right?
Never.
Except for like one shot in a minute where like the kids are blowing up some fireworks, and I think it's implied they're trying to blow up frogs.
No,
But again, I'm happy for the safety of the frogs because
Yes.
they weren't put in any danger. But it was definitely just the same. So like the fireworks happen, and then the same shot of like frogs running away from something.
Can we talk about script writing real quick?
Sure.
Okay,
please.
so I know nothing.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to go out and say that. But
we are not the writers here.
we're not the writers. And So the idea of having a plot set on a certain day.
Yes.
Right? So you have it set on the 4th of July.
Like so deep that it is in like the movie description, right? Because that was what you sent me when you were like, we should watch this for the 4th of July.
Yeah, it was on there.
So it seems like it should be a bigger plot point.
Right. And I understand that in real life, things fall on those days, right? Sometimes a birthday is on the 4th of July. But there's something about putting it in a movie or putting it in a book or something that if you're going to include that, make it relevant.
Yeah.
Make him like scared of fireworks or something, or like the frogs hate,
or maybe that's like the frogs'
gunpowder.
weakness. That could
would
have been great for them to escape. It's like we've got all these fireworks for the celebration.
That would have been fantastic.
Yeah, exactly.
It felt so wasted and so pointless,
useless.
That it took me out of the experience.
It could have just been about the grandpa's birthday that he was so pissed about,
and that would have been fine.
Honestly, though,
and it almost made it harder to believe that it was actually his birthday just because everything else was happening at the same time.
Exactly.
So that's my rant.
So yeah, nobody cares about this old man, really. The only reason any of them are playing nice with him at all is because all of them are like, he's going to die soon, and I'm trying to get in on that inheritance money, right? Which is kind of very shitty.
Yeah. I actually completely forgot about this plot.
Yeah, right? It like kind of went nowhere. It was mostly just an excuse for the man to be an asshole and everybody still listens to what he says, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah, I really noticed this. There are hardly ever shots of the people and the frogs at the same time. They're always separate.
Basically never.
Yeah, like it kind of surprised me how many shots I noticed. You could see the ground level on the grass and there were no frogs on it.
It was very off.
But then it would show shots of frogs covering like the entire lawn.
And I don't know if it's happened yet. I didn't write a note about it. But there's the part where they all leave and there's a birthday cake and the frogs like jump on top of the birthday cake and everything. That would have been a great thing to happen while they were all sitting
with
around.
People there, yeah.
But instead, everybody leaves and then the frogs all jump on the cake.
It's wild to me.
It's like everyone, maybe they added the frogs after. They added the frogs in post.
Yeah.
That's the only...
And that's something I wrote throughout here, too. It's like, it seems like there is a movie that was not enough. They needed some other hook for it, and so they just threw a shot of frogs in every 2 minutes,
It's so random.
But then there's also crocodiles. There was a rattlesnake, but it didn't have any fangs. You remember that?
Yeah, that was... I mean... Okay, that I can kind of get behind.
Well, yeah, because a rattlesnake can do some damage.
Right, rattlesnakes can kill you. Rattlesnakes can kill you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, here in the great desert we live in, like rattlesnakes are here and they're scary.
I would be, because that's what I was scared when there was a scene where Sam Elliott as Smith was just walking straight towards one. Right?
Oh yeah.
And just like with a stick, he was totally cool about it too. I'm like, no way. And then it showed us the fangless snake.
And I mean, okay, I guess that's a testament to the technology of the time, right? Like they probably didn't have a way to have a fake snake.
Right.
They didn't
or
have
fake fangs in a snake.
Yeah, exactly. They were being smart, right? They didn't want to hurt their actors, which I can respect.
Again, I'm all for that.
But then
doesn't mean it makes a better movie.
We'll talk about it later, but there's a certain scene with an alligator that takes my theory and throws it away.
Yep.
So we'll get to that.
We will get to there. Yeah.
Anyway,
so
where are we?
Every scene of walking through the woods is like 30% walking and 70% just random reptiles.
And so much fog.
Snakes and lizards up in the trees, frogs on the ground, so much fog. I think it was you that made the joke that like, oh, this movie was actually originally called Fogs instead.
Fogs. Stephen King's The Fogs.
But then there's a sequence where this character named Michael, who's been pretty useless up until this point, that's why we're only mentioning him now. He goes out. I don't even know why he goes out into the woods, but he brings a gun with him. He just starts shooting at random birds. I'm like, great.
Goodness.
Now the birds are going to be upset. Now the birds are going to be a part of all of this. And then out of nowhere, he trips and shoots himself in the leg, like straight in the kneecap, right?
So random.
And then there's a long sequence of him traipsing and falling through some brush and covering himself in bushes.
I hated this.
And then he fell into like a tarantula nest. But there were like maybe 2 actual tarantulas that they had for this thing,
And the only
right?
times it showed those was like close-ups. Everything else was obviously fake.
Exactly. I don't think there were actually any shots of the tarantula like on his body.
Maybe there was one like it crawling across his arm.
Exactly, but really not that much. But yeah, so he was covered in webbing and bushes. So I was a little confused. I can't tell what's hurting him because he was just screaming. So I was thinking, is it the gunshot wound, the spiders, or the bushes? Because all 3 of them were attacking him.
And it kind of seemed like the bushes were like literally constricting him.
It was kind of weird, right?
They were like strangling him and pulling him into the ground. He was like becoming one with the ground.
Did not understand it, but he was getting covered.
And then at the end, he finally, I guess, dies.
Yeah.
And you can totally tell that someone is like draping him with those fake spider webs you could buy at like the Halloween stores.
As if the tarantula is like covering him in more webbing. But they would come down in like sheets over him.
It was like an actual sheet. It was hilarious.
And then the final shot of his death is just one stray scorpion, just as a treat.
Oh yeah.
Random one. It's the only scorpion in the movie, just like walks across his hand.
Why?
I don't know. No idea.
Why?
But now there's an enthusiastic old lady who likes to hunt butterflies. That's her deal, right? She likes to catch them and put them in little like displays. And so
can I do my impression of her scream real quick?
Sure, yeah. Ah! Just that over and over again with her screams. But yeah, I wrote, this enthusiastic old lady is probably going to die now just because she wandered off alone.
Yep.
And that's just what keeps happening. The only reason people are dying is because they're not following horror movie rule 1 and don't split up, right?
Absolutely. And also they're being idiots.
All of them are being stupid. But there are so many lizards. So before the old lady dies, there's actually another useless character that has to go. His name was Kenneth, I think.
Yeah.
He's part of this couple where he's like kind of a pretty boy. He's dating this model girl. We haven't mentioned them because they're just kind of annoying and useless to the plot.
Still don't even know why they were there.
Honestly, though. But he ends up going into the greenhouse, and they just keep reusing the same shots of lizards walking into the greenhouse. Like, did you notice that? It's like the same big lizard going in the door over and over again.
It was so funny.
As he's in there trying to get clippings of certain flowers and stuff, and then
the best part of the movie.
This is literally probably the best part of the movie.
It actually was.
There are lizards knocking poisons off of the shelves and like mixing chemicals on the ground.
And they were like doing this cute little laugh.
Yeah. They were like kind of like hiss laughing. It was so strange.
I really want to like take a clip of that and dub our voices over the over the lizards going, I'm gonna dump this chemical.
Honestly, I feel like this movie would be so much better had they hired like voice actors for the
should be our next project.
Reptiles.
Do you want to watch that movie again with me? But we'll dub our voices.
That'll be like our first, if we ever make a Patreon, that'll be like our first thing is we'll do a dub over the movie Frogs.
Oh my goodness.
That would be hilarious.
Idea.
We're gonna lock that
Isaac,
down.
We'll
lock that in the vault. We'll talk about that later.
Forget you heard that, or maybe remember you
or
heard
maybe
that.
remember it. A little incentive there. But yeah, so they keep knocking off these chemicals. They say like caution and poison, and so all of these chemicals mixing in this splatter on the ground make all this like chemical fog. I don't even know what you would call it.
So
gaseous poisons.
I can't remember what it's called, but it usually comes in a metal container, and you plug it into the wall, and then you add liquid to it, and it creates fog that goes out on a stage.
Yeah.
And it makes a cool fog
like
effect.
Stage fog, if you will.
Oh yeah. That's what it's called.
That's a good idea.
Stage fog.
Just lots and lots of that fills.
They just did nothing to like make it look scary.
No, really. And for some reason, he wasn't able to get out of the greenhouse, so he dies in there. He asphyxiates in there, and it's just. My only concern with this is with all of those chemicals, wouldn't the reptiles also
would
die?
Definitely die.
Like, I don't think they could survive that.
No, but they were just chilling. It almost seemed like they were enjoying the fog.
So yeah, now after that happened, now
that's
we're
the frog
back
cake.
to that's the frog cake. That's the frog cake.
I found my note.
That is definitely where that happens. But so, I mean, that's really the only useful part of that scene.
But the best part about the frog cake, other than everybody leaving and then it happening, is it's like an American flag cake, and then someone obviously just throws a frog onto the cake.
There are so many moments where it is very obvious there are like 3 people around like the outskirts of the camera's like point of view just tossing frogs into the center of the camera, into the center screen.
Which... has its own level of problems.
Yeah, exactly, right. I hope these frogs are safe, but I know they didn't jump into frame like that.
No, 100%.
So now we're back to old lady Iris is her name, still chasing butterflies. She, immediately when you see her, she almost chokes herself on a hanging vine like a fucking idiot.
That's so stupid. She just, I can just walk around
and then she just walks backwards. She's like, oh, I'm okay now. But yeah, she anytime someone dies, it's just because they went out on their own. I wrote here, Derek and I are currently losing our minds because of this boring movie.
Oh my God. I don't think we've ever had a movie that has made us this vocally annoyed.
Yeah, we were just like shouting to each other about like, when is it over?
Yeah, because like we watched a lot of boring movies.
Yeah,
but nothing like this where we were like so with each other. And there was a point, actually I think it was around now, where I paused the movie and we saw there was still 40 minutes left.
And we were like, how?
And Isaac saw me pause and he's like, no, stop, Derek.
I don't want to know.
I don't wanna know.
want this information, please. Spare me the knowledge. But so yeah, she's just traipsing through the forest, just struggling to. Like, this is one of the ones where you mentioned, like, it's just the director saying, now fall really poorly through this forest.
This woman has never acted a day in her life.
And she's just getting random scrapes and cuts on her legs for some reason. Like, they just, like, the makeup just suddenly shows up. I don't really understand it.
It's like they had just an extra bucket of blood, and they're like, "Oh, just throw some of it on her."
But yeah, she probably gets one of the worst death scenes, just like one of the longest ones, because then she falls into like a little puddle and gets covered in leeches that she then has to pull off of her. I mean, her reactions deserve an Oscar. And how is this scene still going? It was so long.
I swear it took 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was
so bad.
Such a long sequence of her running through, screaming at the forest and all these things that are mostly her fault that she's getting hurt by. Like, the creatures really aren't doing a lot. Only for her to fall down, and one rattlesnake gives her like a quick bite, and she's instantly dead.
It like punched her in the like ankle.
Yeah.
It was like an Achilles heel situation where it just
such
bit
a quick,
onto
just
it.
like a little pop.
Yeah.
The snake got her, and then she's just dead. And then it cuts away to the snake, then it cuts back to her, and she's like a little more like gray, decomposed a little bit.
She turned like a grayish blue.
Exactly. And Derek turns to me, he's like, "Are you seeing this bullfrog?"
Hey, that was really funny.
Hey, it was your joke.
Whoever made that joke was really clever. Should be a funny guy.
Honestly, actually some bull. This is some stupid shit.
So stupid.
And
so
then,
stupid.
Here we are at the most concerning scene of the movie. There was another guy, I think his name was Michael, who was coming to find Iris. He's like, "Iris is missing, I'm gonna go find her." Then suddenly a whole ass alligator is here.
Out of nowhere.
Because there were little teeny tiny like baby crocodiles
And I
in the
loved them.
beginning.
They
They
were
were
so
adorable.
cute. They were
Loved
so
them.
cute.
But now there's a whole alligator.
Out of nowhere. Really, though.
And so he falls into like this little swampy marsh and actually like wrestles with this gator.
Yes.
It is full-fledged like a actual man and gator like rolling with each other in the swamp.
And if you've ever seen the way that an alligator or crocodile kills something, it does that. It spins in the water.
And it's terrifying.
So, little side funny bit here. Emily, my wife, I'm going to call her out a little bit.
Oh my God.
She is deathly afraid of alligators.
Yeah.
Like, it is her worst fear in the world. Not an exaggeration.
Mm-hmm.
So she's asleep through almost this entire movie.
Yep.
My 2 dogs picked this exact moment to go and wake her up. And it was,
Of all moments, there were not any gator-centric scenes until right now.
they could have woken her up at any point in the movie, but they picked right there, and both of them just beeline to her.
Yeah.
It was so funny. I was like, "Emily, don't open your eyes."
It was so funny, but it was like kind of concerning to
Yes.
watch this. I was like, I don't understand how they could have shot this in a safe manner.
It did not look like a body double.
Unless this dude is like some kind of like professional alligator wrestler.
Well, and it's interesting because the first half of the scene, they showed this guy walking towards it, and then they would show another shot of the alligator, and it never showed them together. And then
Until
all of a sudden,
they were
it showed
very
them
much together.
biting and spinning in the water, but it never showed his face. So my theory is that it was like a trained professional who
Had
was
to
like
be,
worked
right?
with alligators or something.
I'll tell you right now, looking through the trivia, could not find anything
Dang it,
about that
I was really
alligator
hoping.
fight. Nope, nothing. So we'll never
well,
know.
hopefully
if
they
that
didn't
man
actually kill
died
somebody
or not.
because
But which yeah, of course he does die. His character is dead, and his dead body just kind of gets dragged into the water, and that's really all there is to this.
Yeah.
Everyone in this movie, the vibe that which they speak is like they're talking as if they're having a party at their parents' house, and their parents told them to like keep the volume down.
Here,
so it's
let's
like,
let's have a conversation.
Okay, ready?
What's a topic?
Let's talk about the weather. You know.
Hey, Isaac, have you seen the weather today?
Yeah, the weather was pretty crazy to me. It was raining, and then and then it wasn't,
Was it raining frogs?
and then it rained again. And no, it was raining cats and dogs.
Oh,
and
that's
maybe
weird.
Cats and frogs.
Yeah.
Is that anything?
Should we talk like this for an hour and a half and
Yeah,
maybe
let's
make
do
a
that.
movie out of it?
I mean, there are probably some people that like this level
something
of podcast.
intense is happening, so I'm going to talk a little bit
A
louder.
little bit louder.
Oh no!
And then that's
darn.
it. That's how they talk for the entirety of the movie.
I
Like, it
kind of
really
wanted to
upset
keep
me.
going because it was kind of soothing and putting me to sleep, just like the movie did. But that's the only good that did.
Certainly, though, yeah. Like,
mean, I did make
could
the joke.
very easily fall asleep to this movie.
Yeah, we were riffing on that a
Yeah.
little bit. We were like, all right, this is the new thing we're going to put on when we're tired. We need to fall asleep. Like, so much for your restoration videos and my clay making videos.
Yeah.
As a little insight into our sleeping habits. And we just need frogs. 1972.
Honestly, though, and like the sound of frogs croaking, which is like there throughout the entirety of
yeah.
the movie, it never goes away.
No, I think maybe twice in the whole movie I can remember not hearing croaking.
Honestly, though. So everyone wants to leave, but Jason, the old man, is kind of being an asshole, doesn't want any of them to. And then there are 3 people that decide they are going to. So it is Kenneth, who died in the greenhouse, his model girlfriend. She's like, I'm getting out of here. She goes with like the butler and the maid.
Staff,
the staff, right? So the 3 of them leave. Clint, who also was being just a creep to the model girlfriend the whole time.
Did not like him.
Even in front of his wife. Like, it was gross. I hated it. Despised the man. But he drove them out to the other side of the lake. And it's like noticeably abandoned. There's like a little campsite where there's a fire that wasn't really put out. There's some fishing hooks or some fishing rods that are out by the lake that are just unmanned. There's nobody there.
Just chilling.
So things are looking kind of weird. The boat, Clint's boat, was he came out because there was like a convenience, some kind of like, I don't know, shack right there on the edge of the lake, right? So we went inside. When he came out, the boat is like all the way in the middle of the lake, and he goes to check the rope, and there's just like a little lizard there.
It's the same lizard.
Again, does that little laugh.
But yeah, it's the exact same lizard that was knocking the chemicals on the ground.
That lizard was a paid actor for sure.
100%. I think he was the highest grossing actor in the movie.
But so the 3 people that were brought to the other side of the lake to escape, they're running away, and then they're like attacked by birds.
Yep.
So there's a
Alfred
bit
Hitchcock's here.
where they're running into this shelter building, and there are birds that look definitely like imposed onto the shot. So, like,
100%.
it looks really bad.
It looked very, very bad.
Which I prefer over, like, I don't know, bird puppets, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I know they wouldn't do it very well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
it
maybe
was-
just keep with the theme. But I guess maybe the theme is that wildlife is fighting back.
Yeah, I have no idea.
I don't know.
But so Clint goes out he has to rescue his boat. He needs his baby, right? So he goes out to his speedboat. As he's swimming out there's one single snake that is chasing after him.
Yeah, he's like in the middle of this lake.
Yeah, and then as
That had crocodiles in it. I add.
But the snake is the biggest problem. So as he's
100%.
halfway across the water, he gets pulled under for a second, and then he's okay for some reason. He makes it to the boat, and then the snake finishes the job, pulls him under the water.
He does this like cool moment where he's hanging onto the side of the boat. Then he spills his hot dog onto his right hand.
Yeah, it's hot
and
sauce all over his hands.
Yeah, well, I said hot dog because it was like covered in ketchup and hot sauce.
Yeah.
And then he like pulls his hand up. He's like, "Oh no, I spilled my ketchup."
Yeah,
and he wipes his hand on his
effects
face.
were pretty
It was
bad.
rough.
Yeah,
But
it was weird. He made it seem like the hand was pulling him down into the water, but it was his own hand.
Oh, yeah, he
it
did
was
do that,
stupid. But if that's not enough for you, if you needed more kills in this movie, his wife Jenny saw him from on the other side of the lake, and she was screaming at him. Walks a little bit into the water, which has been established in the very beginning of the movie is like very muddy at the bottom of it,
Yeah.
and she gets stuck in it. And Derek, what attacks her while she's stuck in the mud?
Oh, just a little turtle did.
A little turtle or
It's a little
giant?
It was
turtle?
a big turtle, a snapping turtle, even
Giant snapping turtle is what
out
got
of
her.
nowhere.
Yeah. So she just gets stuck in the mud, and it's funny. Emily made the comment. She's like, turtles are not known for being very fast animals, but she's screaming, sitting there,
absolutely.
struggling to get out of the mud, and then it doesn't show her getting eaten or anything. She's just like, okay, I guess we have to assume that the tortoise got her, right? This
Right.
movie is going nowhere.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, and this movie only ever shows 10 frogs at once. It's very clear that's like all they have for this movie, right? So that was just another note I wrote here. Yes, Science Jim?
Yes, hello, it's me.
You're not a fly anymore.
Buzz.
That's still in you a little bit. We'll get you clear to that.
I just wanted to say, Derek had written me a letter, and he was asking where snapping turtles lived, and if they would actually have been in Florida.
I'm going to be honest with you. I feel like 60% of the reptiles and creatures in this movie probably are not native to Florida.
So, actually, the snapping turtle would be found. And in my research, every animal that was in this film would be found in Florida.
What the fuck, Science Jim?
I know.
You're blowing my mind.
It's crazy, right?
Really, though?
It's insane. I'm going to go back because I have the crazy urge to land on some potato salad.
Oh, okay. Well,
What?
have fun. Do that.
Did he just say he wanted to go land on potato salad?
He's going through his midlife crisis, I think. His midlife
Mid-lunch
slices.
We both went
That's
different
something, yeah,
directions
something
with that
like that. So basically, the only survivors left at this point is Smith, Karen, the girl who was kind of into him from the beginning, and then the 2 kids who haven't been present the entire movie.
Yeah.
Because they're useless. They don't matter at all.
They set off fireworks once.
A little bit, yeah.
did something.
That's it. Yeah, that's all they've done. But so all of them have decided, screw Grandpa, we're leaving this island. And he's being like a pretty pouty dick about it. Like he doesn't even say goodbye to his granddaughter, right? Like she goes,
my birthday. No
goodbye,
one wants to hang
Grandpa,
out
and
with
he
me."
straight up just doesn't say anything. He just ignores her flat out. I'm like, okay,
Such a
whatever.
dick. Well, it was my birthday, and no one wanted to celebrate.
But
with
as
me.
they are leaving, they find Jenny's body, the one that got attacked by the tortoise, and she's just face down in the water, covered in crabs.
Yeah.
Like random crabs. It didn't make a lot of sense to
Yeah.
me. Again, they just keep adding wild creatures deeper and deeper into this movie. I'm like, by this point, we have to be towards the end of the movie. How many more things can they keep adding?
Right? It doesn't make
No,
any
it doesn't make any sense to me. But now they're going to escape in Smith's canoe that was there from the beginning, right?
Smith's canoe.
Smith's canoe.
Hello, it's me. It's Smith's canoe. I don't
I have no idea where you're going with that one.
It just sounded so fun to me.
Yeah.
It's like you go to a boat rental shop. Hello, welcome to Smith's canoe.
Oh my god, I'm leaving this bit. So
it's a fun one.
So there's a pretty lackluster sequence where they're rowing out in the canoe. It's the four of them in there, and then they get caught on like a snag. And for some reason, Smith has to take his shirt off to jump into the water to hit a bunch of snakes
Yeah.
away from the boat with his paddle. And then get them off the snag and then continue going. But before they're done with that, there's a crocodile that starts chasing them.
Yeah.
And as soon as the crocodile enters the scene, he just takes his gun, shoots it once.
Big
and
shotgun blast straight to
so much blood goes out
All
of this
of it.
crocodile.
I have a theory about this one, actually.
Okay, well, what's up?
I think that they had a certain amount of blood for this movie. They filmed these scenes first.
and then they didn't have much for
and
the
then
rest
they
of the movie.
spilled it all
Yeah.
on the crocodile on
Yeah.
accident. They're like, oh, well, there we go. We got the shot where he's hanging on the boat and on the crocodile, and that's it.
So we find out that those three that tried to escape earlier didn't make it past the birds. We see like the luggage that they were carrying kind of littered about, right? So yeah, it didn't. But what's funny is that there's no birds for these people that are escaping now. No anything actually. Like what's happening?
Yeah.
And was it just like completely localized to this lake because there are no frogs, no birds, no anything chasing them out here?
Nope, they're fine.
But then they were able to hitch a ride with this nice couple that, no, it wasn't a couple, it was a mom and like her son
Yep.
that were driving. And people are so willing, back in these days, people were so willing to give anybody a ride.
Oh, yeah.
Which
I
is
mean-
like a terrifying concept to me in today, 2023, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, part of the reason we're so scared of that is a lot of people took advantage of that.
Yeah, exactly. There are reasons for that. But yeah, the Smith handed his gun to like one of the 10-year-olds in the boat, and they're like, yeah, come on into the car, 10-year-old with a gun.
And then, so they're sitting there in the car, and the mom's like, well, a lot of people not around. I don't know why they're not around on Independence Holiday.
Hey, it's 4th of July.
The boy turns around. Look what I found.
Yeah, I was at summer camp. Look at the monster I found.
Holds up a big old bullfrog.
Like a big old bullfrog.
Probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
They reached into their bucket of frogs and pulled out the biggest one.
Yeah, they had like one of those competitions for biggest frog.
And then we never see that car ever again.
No, yeah, they just drive off into the distance, and you think
it.
that's where it's going to end, right? But does
Oh,
it?
it should have.
It should have. Instead, we get a sequence where Grandpa Jason is kind of losing his mind.
Yeah, he's.
I think
he's
it's established
lost
that
it.
he's been drinking because he's
Yeah.
sad about it. But yeah, the frogs are like smashing in through the windows now and kind of just taking over his office.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty much just like it feels like it wanted to be kind of like Evil Dead, where it's like, you know, like close-ups of like all the animal heads
Yeah.
on his walls, and he's kind of losing his mind, going crazy. He falls out of his wheelchair
For some
which- He was in a
reason.
wheelchair the whole time. I don't know if we mentioned that.
Yeah, but he was. And he also had a dog, but the dog's fine because it's nature.
Yeah, exactly. So the nature's fine. Which is funny because it seems like nature is uprising against them, but the dog is not a part of that.
dogs are cool, man.
Yeah, dogs are chill. Dogs are
are
cool.
chill.
But yeah, so he just collapsed on the floor, couldn't take the heat, I guess. And then he just kind of gets covered in a couple frogs. And then the last shot is just like the house from the exterior, and then all the lights turn off.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, and there's that weird moment where the phone starts to ring.
Oh yeah.
And he picks up the phone, and all you hear is croaking.
The entire time the phone has not worked, then suddenly the phone rings. And you mentioned, you're like, oh, please have croaking on the other end of the line, right?
Yeah.
It was hard to tell if that was happening or not.
Yes.
Because there was so much croaking going on in general that
Yeah, the whole movie.
the sound editing there did not make it obvious if it was coming through the phone or not. So in my heart, I want to believe that's what happened. But just like, what a lackluster, boring ending to a boring movie.
Ugh, boring.
But then also, at the end of the credits, there was a bit where there was you want to mention?
It was just like, we thought the movie was over, and we're just sitting there, and then the credits kind of go by for a little bit, and then this stupid animated frog hops out onto the screen.
Little cartoon frog.
He has a hand in his mouth, he sucks it up like a bit of spaghetti, and then walks off.
Yeah, so just like the movie, again, like there was never, ever a moment in this movie when a frog ate a person.
Yep.
Frogs really didn't kill anyone in this movie.
No, well, they sat on a lot.
Yeah, that's really all it was. But yeah, that was Frogs, 1972.
Wow, we got through that one. We did. We got through it.
We survived. I need a t-shirt that says I survived Frogs 1972 and all I got was a stupid shirt.
I love it. So jump scares in this movie. I mean, there are a lot of frogs. And there were a
frog
lot
scares?
of jumping.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of scares.
A million.
So there was no scares.
Yeah,
in this
none.
movie.
0.
There were 11 kills, though.
Oh, wow.
11 kills, yeah.
It's way more than I thought.
Pretty crazy. Do you want me to go through the list of them? I can go through the list of them.
You can't. I can't even remember 11
seconds.
characters in this movie. Because there are so many that survived. There weren't any deaths before all of them showed up.
It's true. Let's jump over to the Dead Meat Wiki. That's
Dead Meat.
Giving them credit for this.
Okay.
So you got Grover at the beginning. He was
died.
killed by nature.
Yep.
Then you've got Michael. He was killed by the tarantulas.
Alligator. Oh, no.
Tarantulas.
Oh, you're right. That was, yeah.
Kenneth Martindale was killed by poison
Yeah,
and the reptiles.
He was in the greenhouse.
Iris bitten to death by the snakes.
That's the old lady.
Stuart did the job with... I love Dead Meat. They're great. It says, did the job in a crocodile wrestling match.
Yep. Stewart was his name. Okay,
Yeah.
I mixed him up with Michael.
Clint was killed by a water snake.
Yep.
Jenny was killed by the giant turtle.
Yep.
Bella was killed by animals. Maybelle was killed by animals.
Yep.
Charles was killed by animals.
all three of them
and
were the
Jason
people
was
that ran
overcome
away.
by frogs.
Wild. I really
11
did not
kills.
think there were that many characters in this movie.
Yeah, and then there were technically 5. Well, there were 4 animal deaths, and then a bunch of the animal deaths.
Oh,
at the
yeah, I
beginning.
guess that makes sense, because there were a couple. They shot the snake, and that
Yeah,
one
the snake, the
crocodile
bird,
died.
another snake, and then the
Yeah.
crocodile.
So, yeah, that
Shout out
tracks.
to Dead Meat to keeping track of those for me.
You want to discuss our expectations?
I would love to.
So I thought I remembered it as a boring movie, and God, yes, was that right? It was
Yeah.
a boring movie.
You were right about this one, Isaac.
Thought the frogs weren't going to be threatening. Yeah, not at all. Just piles of them scattered about. Honestly, the legwork was mostly done by the lizards in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And to that note, the other creatures will be more of a threat was another expectation I had. Absolutely. The frogs hardly did anything.
They were really pointless.
Really, though, like calling this movie Frogs is kind of inaccurate.
Yeah.
Just for that. The plot will make no sense with terrible writing. Check and check. Yes. And finally, very little to do with the 4th of July. Honestly, it was more about Grandpa Jason's birthday than the actual 4th of July, right?
Yeah, for real.
I had to really try to dig deep in my heart and soul to find some surprises from this movie.
Oh my god, me too.
But I was surprised by how many different animals they had utilized for the film, like frogs, lizards of all sizes, crocodiles, alligators, crabs, and a giant tortoise. Like that was a lot.
That was a lot.
So that surprised me. And then
there wasn't any practical. It was all like real animals.
Yeah,
from what I
exactly.
could
They were
tell.
all
except for like stuffed ones every once in a while, but
totally
for the
real
most part,
creatures. And then another surprise was just that scene where that guy wrestled with that alligator. Is he okay? Like
that was shocking.
I saw the capabilities of this movie, and that one looked way too real compared to everything else that happened.
Yeah, for real.
And that's it. Those are my surprises.
Okay, terrible acting. Oh yeah.
Oh,
Some of the worst I've seen. Actually, if you watch anything from this movie, go watch the scene where the model lady is freaking out that her husband is dead.
Yeah, fun fact, you look that up on YouTube as like the most replayed
Yeah, so
bit of the
the
thing.
full movie is on YouTube, and if you go to the most replayed moment, it's her screaming.
Yep.
Definitely go check that out. It is hilarious.
Absolutely.
Terrible acting is what I just said.
Yep.
Really lame kills with people flying around and nothing happening. Okay, yeah, this was right on the money.
Oh, absolutely.
Almost every single time someone died, you either didn't see it or they were just flailing around for no reason.
Yup.
A plot that is so outlandish that it could only come from the 70s? Yes, but its message rings true.
Uh-huh.
So many people going croak. Yeah, dude. They all croaked.
Yeah, of course.
and then for boring, I wrote boring Bayo Boovie.
Boring Bale.
Because like boring Bayou
Oh,
movie.
yeah.
But it's the 3 Bs, the
I
boring
get you.
Bayo
Boring-
movie.
yeah,
it's the
all
true
right.
3B, 3
It's
B movie.
Yeah, you're almost there.
Oh, that's funny.
Do you have any surprises?
I sure did. And I'm going to just verbatim read to you what I wrote.
All right, give it to me.
Because I was having a really hard time coming up with surprises. Woof. I mean, like, all of this was just, wow. I mean, well, the lizards were cute.
That's your one
That's all I
surprise.
wrote.
Lord.
I didn't know what else to write. The thing that surprised me most about this movie is how much I didn't have fun.
Yeah, honestly, we tried our hardest. We had to make fun. I
Yeah.
think even you, at a certain point, were losing your mind. You had to turn to making like stupid puns about
Oh my
everything that was
gosh, yeah,
happening the whole
everything.
time.
Yeah.
I think that's where the that was bull frog joke came
Oh,
from.
yeah. Ugh.
So verdicts. Shall we cover verdicts?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty obvious where we're at. I mean, for me, I gave it both. This is a 2-for-1. It is horrible and it is boreable. It is a horrible, boreable movie.
Yep.
I could have fallen asleep with ease to this movie if I didn't have to take notes on it. Everyone talked at the same level. The action never peaked at all. It was always the same and just ended on such a weak note. Yeah. And nothing about it was scary. It was like not a horror at all. It would have been so much better if they had gone the direction that the poster would lead you to assume there were giant man-eating frogs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would have been a much better movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, what about your verdict?
Horrible.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Same. Originally it was boreable, but I really like the idea of combining those two together because it is horrible and boreable.
Yep.
Like the amount of time wasted in making this movie, like the scene towards the beginning of the movie where they're all just like out on lawn chairs, just sitting there, was pointless.
Absolutely.
Completely pointless. And there are movies that have been being made for years and years before this that have had more interesting plot lines. Mm-hmm. So that's where I'm at.
Blay blay!
Oh, there he is.
I'm just going to hop in here.
I thought you croaked.
No, I've not croaked, but I'm going to hop in here and say that I have the trivia for it.
I didn't get it yet.
Hop
in.
Because
of frogs!
And that's right, with me and my little legs, and now I'm going to slip away like a slippery little frog.
I have a question for you.
What is it?
Did Gooper like this movie?
Gooper gave me the slime to slip away, so I slip away like a frog. Here I go.
Oh man, I really wanted to know.
I think he was working on that bit like the entire time.
Was he?
He was waiting for his moment to say that. Was that obvious?
He keeps peeking in the door to see if we liked his bit.
It was good. Oh, Derek, I love that bit.
Oh
right?
man,
Such a good bit.
What a great! Oh my gosh, we need to write him up.
Yeah, we gotta find a way to write him off the show. So, Count Trivia has given us many trivias for this. So, starting out, many of the 500 Florida frogs and 100 South American cane toads purchased for use in the film. So that's 600 total. Uh-huh.
What?
Yeah, that's a lot of frogs and toads.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
What?
500 frogs, 100 toads.
You just said in total?
Yeah.
And didn't comment on the pun?
Yeah. Oh, toadle. I get it
How
now.
dare you?
Many of these frogs escaped during production.
Oh my God. Wait, no. We can't.
They probably fucked with the ecosystem of Florida for a little bit.
Are you kidding me right now? 600?
Yeah, not all of them, but that is how many were used for the film, right? But it's just as many of them escaped.
So that explains why there are only 10 on a camera at a time. They literally were throwing them out there, and then they would run away.
Probably just lose them. They just had people that would throw them. They didn't have any like frog wranglers, you know?
Oh my God.
That's so funny to me.
What an oversight.
So due to the film's low budget, no live birds were used for the bird attack scene. Footage of flying birds was superimposed over footage of the running cast.
We're right.
That was absolutely right. And
obvious.
it looked just like that. It was garbage.
It looked very bad.
Ray Milland, the guy that played Grandpa Jason, wore a toupee throughout filming, and he sweated so much that it fell off his head several times throughout filming.
Oh my God.
I just thought that was kind of funny. The Florida Holiday Inn used by the crew would not allow the venomous snakes, spiders, or scorpions used in the film to be brought into the hotel. Which, I mean, yeah I wouldn't want those in my hotel either. That makes sense. Apparently, scenes of Sam Elliott shirtless in this film helped him land the starring role of in Lifeguard 1976, which I don't know, but apparently it's probably a big deal for him, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Because the film's poster art depicted a human hand hanging out of a huge frog's mouth, viewers often assumed the film was about giant man-eating frogs rather than a swamp wildlife on rampage. So, I mean, like, that tracks. That's how I felt, honestly. This is just kind of a neat one for me, and we'll end it with this one. The film was released as a double feature with Godzilla vs. Hedorah from 1971.
What?
Yeah. It's kind of strange.
Imagine watching this in Godzilla.
Which is also like another anti-pollution film, which is funny to me. But yeah, so like double feature frogs and Godzilla versus Hedorah. Kind of wild.
Wow. I'm going to need to sit on that one.
But yeah, if you're curious how many TV tropes we got from tvtropes.org, a whopping like 37 of them.
Whoa!
Yeah, so many of them, including awful wedded life between the two people, right? There's a child hater, conveniently an orphan, covers always lie, talking about the giant frog with the hand sticking out of it. Gaia's vengeance with the nature coming back. There's some really fun tropes that exist on here. I should really go through like all of these and see them. Another shirtless scene with Sam Elliott.
Oh, I didn't even say. I actually timed the amount of time that Sam
Elliott
Elliott
was shirtless.
He was only shirtless for about 4 minutes.
Yeah, which is kind of we
a little
expected
disappointing.
more of it.
I wanted more.
but yeah, so
You know, the movie was only PG. They couldn't show Sam Elliott's glistening pecs the entire movie.
yeah. But so yeah, that was our Independence
Happy
Day
Independence Day,
special.
everybody.
Thank you very much for watching.
If you celebrate.
Oi, there's a fly.
Oh my god.
There's a fly. It's Beckini.
Oh, it's me. I'm the fly. I'm gonna get him. I'm gonna. Have a good day, everyone. See ya.
Goodbye.